Hi, I'm Susan Rutledge, author of Creating Pattern Brushes in Adobe Illustrator, here today with another tutorial on how to make a pattern brush. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and check my book out on Amazon.com. In this video, I'll show you how to make a side tile, which is the first part of a pattern brush, and then how to tell Adobe Illustrator exactly where to put it so that your results are seamless pattern brushes every single time. Let's start out by designing that side tile. I'll get the rectangle tool, which is keyboard shortcut M, and hold my shift key down as I drag so that I have a square. I want to rotate the square, so I'll use the rotate tool, keyboard shortcut R, and that places the rotate ball in the center. I'll hold down the shift key and drag to a 45-degree angle, and I'll release my mouse. Now I'm going to get the selection tool, keyboard shortcut V, and come over to the properties panel, and I'll apply an orange fill and a black stroke. Now I want to add one more object to the side tile. I'll get the ellipse tool, keyboard shortcut L, and hold down the shift key when I drag, and I end up with a circle. I'll go over and apply a blue fill to the circle. Now I'm going to get the selection tool, keyboard shortcut V, and I'll select both of these items, and I want to align them. So I'll come over and I'll click on the vertical align center. Now I'll click on the artboard to deselect them, and I'll select just the circle, hold my shift key down and drag it until it intersects with the diamond, and then I'll release my mouse. Now Illustrator is giving me that sign, the intersection, because I have Smart Guides turned on. You can turn yours on by going up to View and clicking on Smart Guides. In fact, if you're interested in how I've customized my workspace so that the tools that I use are right at my fingertips, you can check out my video on customizing a workspace to create pattern brushes. All right, I have both of my objects together. I want to now group them. I'll use the keyboard shortcut Command G, and my goal is for the pattern repeat to be diamond, circle, diamond, circle. So let's see how that works out. I'll go to the brushes panel, and I will drag and drop my side tile. I'll click on pattern brush and say OK, and in the preview I'm getting the repeat that I wanted. I'm going to name it Diamond Circle 1 and click OK. Okay, I'm going to move this out of the way, and then I'll get the line segment tool, keyboard shortcut backslash. I'll hold the shift key down so that I have a horizontal line, and I'm going to come up and just select that diamond circle pattern brush, and it's instantly applied to my path. And that repeat is looking great. If I want to make it smaller, I'll go to the properties panel and I reduce the size of the stroke. And as I reduce the size of the stroke, it increases the amount of repeats that I have. All right, let's try applying it now to an ellipse. Come get the ellipse tool, keyboard shortcut L, and I'll drag an ellipse out on the artboard and open the brushes panel and click on our pattern brush, and I'll get the selection tool so I can move this down, and I'm going to delete this one. So now what you're seeing is actually a seamless pattern brush, but it is a little distorted, and that's because this pattern brush is too big really for the path that it's applied to if I want to have the pattern brush displayed exactly as it is. Now, I kind of like this. I think that you can get some really cool designs when you have a more fluid look to your pattern brush, but we can reduce this size as well, and when that is decreased, the distortion almost disappears. So that looks pretty good as well. Now let's try a rectangle, and I'll get the rectangle tool, keyboard shortcut M, and get the brushes panel open and apply this. Ooh, that looks just a little weird. Let's come to the properties panel and reduce the size of the stroke. get the selection tool here. So the repeat looks fine, but the corners don't. And the reason for that is the side tile isn't balanced. I have a big object and a small object, and Illustrator is trying to auto-generate a tile for the corner, but it doesn't look good. In fact, it might be really challenging to even make a corner tile for this pattern brush. There is a solution though, and let me show you what it is. I'll delete this, and let's move our side tile back here. I need to create an evenly balanced design, and in order to do that, I'm going to have to make a copy of this circle and put it on the other side of the diamond. I first need to ungroup these. Keyboard shortcut Shift Command G, and then I'll select the circle and I'll make a copy. I'm going to hold down my Shift and my Option keys as I drag to the left, and I'll release my mouse when I have an intersection. Okay, let's move into the outline viewing mode. Keyboard shortcut Command Y. I'm going to drag a guide down from my rulers and put it right here. And then what you'll notice is there is no color in the outline viewing mode. It is giving me just the bare bones outline of my objects. And because I have just that outline, I'm able to be much more precise with the placement of all of my objects and with my bounding box, which I'm about to make. The bounding box tells Illustrator the bounds of your design. And so what I want is I want to use half of the left circle and half of the right circle. Then when these repeat, if I've done this right, my tiles will exactly match up, and that'll give me the seamless look that I'm hoping for. So let's get the rectangle tool, keyboard shortcut M, and first I need to make sure I don't have a fill or a stroke color. So I'm going to start dragging at the point where the guide and the center of my left circle intersect, and I'll make sure to get the diamond in there, and I'll drag over to the center of the right circle and release my mouse. That's looking really good. The next step is to move that bounding box behind the design. Right now I know it's in front of the design because it's the last one that I drew. The way Illustrator works is it places each object on a layer, and as the layers are drawn, they go on top of the one that was drawn before. Let's go over to the Layers panel and I'll show you. I'll twirl down and you can see the rectangle is the first thing that I drew, and then I added a circle, then I added another circle, then we drew the guide, and finally we have the bounding box, which is on top. Now I can just select this and I can drag it down, and that gets it where it needs to be, but let me undo that. Keyboard shortcut Command Z. I want to show you a couple of other ways. I can go to Object and Arrange and then Send to Back, and that gets it down at the bottom just like the other one did. Let's undo that. Keyboard shortcut Command Z. This one is the one you need to remember, and that is keyboard shortcut Shift Command left bracket, and immediately that bounding box is down where it needs to be. If you remember that, it'll save you a ton of time. Okay, let's get the selection tool. I'm going to lasso over my guide and delete it, and then I'll select all of these items and I'm going to group them, keyboard shortcut Command G. Now let's move back into the preview mode, keyboard shortcut Command Y, and I'll go to the brushes panel, and we're going to drag and drop our new side tile, and I'll select pattern brush and say OK. And this is looking pretty good. I'm going to name this Diamond Circle 2 and say OK. And then let's move this out of the way and get the rectangle tool, keyboard shortcut M, and see what we've ended up with. I'm going to click on our second pattern brush, and I'm going to go to the Properties panel, and I'm going to reduce the stroke size and get the selection tool, keyboard shortcut V, and that looks really good. And the reason this looks so much better is because our side tile is now balanced. So Illustrator is able to create a corner tile, which I probably would be happy with. I wouldn't even go to the trouble of trying to make one. If you're only planning on applying your pattern brush to a straight path or to an ellipse, you might be able to get by without making that bounding box. However, there are going to be times, even on a circle or a straight line, you're going to have that bounding box in order for your pattern brush to be seamless. In the next video, I'll show you one of those instances, and that's when you create a side tile that has a thick stroke on the design. So join me again soon, and thanks for watching. Bye now.